Hello, family and friends. It is, oh my gosh, it's October 28th. It's almost Halloween. I have had my head in the sand for several days now. I think I spent 3 days preparing for a deposition in which I just couldn't speak or think about anything else. I have to. I just go into like dissertation mode. I had the deposition today. It was 6.5 hours long. It was on Zoom. And I have to say, it was one of the most fucking ridiculous depositions I've ever been in my entire life. The attorney was not prepared at all. And you could tell that he just hated me. Hated me. I was eloquent, articulate. I stayed within the bounds of my ethics and I was thoroughly fucking prepared to the things I will opine to when I testify. It got to the point where he didn't know what to do with me because basically I ruined his entire case that he was talking about the merch I'm selling on my website, the sweatshirt that says I'm not your fucking therapist. It got down to that. And so I just calmly said to him, and again, this is why Botox is so important in forensic psychology. I said, would you like a 50% discount? I'll give you a sweatshirt. He didn't find that funny. And then I needed to follow up with, they've been sold out 3 times. So I would imagine people in the potential jury pool of LA County for this trial might be wearing the sweatshirts. He didn't find that funny either. It was 6.5 hours of him just grasping at straws and also criticizing me, discrediting me, putting me down. But one thing, is that when they go after your credibility and when they go after anything but the actual case, it's because they don't have a case. So it's always a good sign. So I take one for the team and I sit through it because I know I'm better than him and I know it's a bunch of bullshit. And I always say you don't want to get into the weeds with a psychologist because when we prepare for the thing we specialize in and we prepare to talk about it, we are pretty fucking unstoppable. I really like psychologists. I think our training is impeccable and comprehensive and so in depth in so many areas, but we also know how to show up when we need to. And we've had so much fucking therapy on ourselves that we are authentic and transparent. And most people, especially lawyers, are not that way. So that was a fun 6.5 hours. I'm looking forward to billing them and probably them not paying me and then me sending a law firm to collections. We will see. But, anyways, let's move on to how were you manipulated today? Because I'm sure you were. I haven't seen a lot of the media, but let's see what I wrote down. I think mostly today everybody was auditioning to, I don't know, be everyone else's conscience. And it was based on whoever was the fucking loudest in the news. I'm not sure what happened to Trump today. This will fall under my kind of celebrity section. People are saying, on the right that he was honoring military, whoever he was talking to. I only saw a few clips, but he looked kind of disoriented. And was it the Japanese prime minister? Correct me if I'm wrong, had to kind of move him aside. And it just struck me at like that moment that Biden was outside. I don't know, they were doing something, some speaking engagement like in the woods. And he just kind of started walking into the woods. And it was like, oh, hey, yeah, we all know what's going on. And why is this continuing? And so I'm a little concerned that we're seeing that in Trump. I'm curious. I'm curious that he keeps talking about how he achieved such a good score on the IQ test when he didn't take an IQ test. He took a dementia screener, which is a MOCA. I don't really know what his score was. I mean, anybody should really get a 30 unless they have like any kind of signs of dementia. And then he took that as a challenge this morning to challenge AOC to take an actual IQ test. Well, an actual IQ test is very different. It's in depth, it's extremely lengthy, and it actually determines a score or a number. If Trump actually took an IQ test, I'm sure he would be telling everybody the number or a fake number, or he would be saying like any kind of number. Knowing him, he would probably say a number that wasn't even accurate. Hopefully, he would know enough not to say like 90 and he would go for like a 140, but who knows? It was just very bizarre. And also, why is he having an MRI? He also said something in Japan that he doesn't like good looking people, but I don't really believe that. That was kind of odd too. His wife is beautiful. I don't know if they're good people. And she's being sued too. She's being sued because she threatened to sue. Not clear on that. But what it will do is open up discovery and depositions and information about Epstein. So quite savvy. I forget who's doing that, but we should watch out for his safety. I haven't seen much of Candace Owens lately. I do think she genuinely, maybe she was grieving the loss of Charlie Kirk, but things were fucking weird that she was saying, talking about mystical things. I saw some clip of her today where she was reading into some ridiculous video she saw about Charlie Kirk's death. And I gotta say, guys, working in the government, it's not conspiracy. Literally, people are not well trained and they're busy and they're paper pushers. And it really isn't this giant conspiracy. However, I did finish season 3 of The Diplomat, and Felicity was very shocked by her findings at the end, and as was I. And wow, good move. You guys need to watch The Diplomat on Netflix. I mean, it was like conspiracy theory central, but also like it felt really real. And like, I want to run for politics. I keep saying that. I just don't know how. I don't know. So I did email one of the California representatives and we're going to meet. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. I don't know. I don't know. The Hadid family, if we're talking about celebrities, was kind of in the news because Muhammad Hadid is urging for a Gaza ceasefire. So, obviously that's not working because Israel is taking strikes right now. And it freaks me the fuck out. And I'm also freaked out because one of my best friends in the world is Iranian and her father's not doing well and she needs to go back there. And I offered to go with her and she told me that it would be too dangerous for me, but now she's going to go. And it breaks my fucking heart that our world is like this and it can't stop. I didn't believe it for a second when Trump had that sign made that there's peace in the Middle East and had the meeting where no one was actually present that mattered that would be able to maintain peace in the Middle East. So that's a bunch of bullshit. And now we're seeing that it is actually a bunch of bullshit because we still have hostages and we still have lost people. We still have people being harmed and we still have airstrikes. And there you go. Another way you've been manipulated is that you actually were starting to hate Trump and now you didn't want to hate him because he's actually stopping wars, but he's not actually stopping wars. And he was an actual dick to Zelensky again, who's been dicked around for a solid decade. Trump's in the news again about, I don't know, the 34 felony convictions and trying to turn that over. I just don't even care. I mean, the guy's bad news. We all know that. He said himself he wasn't going to heaven. The SNAP benefits and the food in America is a genuine problem. And starting next week, people are not going to have food. I did see a video of a woman filling her shopping cart and then just leaving the grocery store. I think the police were telling her she was going to get arrested or to put her shit back. And she basically said that Trump said that food's free now. I don't know if like MAGA supporters are in that kind of mindset, like because there's no SNAP benefits, then you don't really need permission and you can just take food from grocery stores. But it is good insight into what's going to happen because people are just going to start robbing for fucking food. Why is the government shut down again? Was it Epstein? Did it start with Epstein? And now it's just people digging in their heels over healthcare and food. People are going to die because of this. And these political authorities don't give a fuck, or they're trying to take a stance and they don't care about the small man that they're going to lose, the people that are going to die because they're making this stance. I don't understand why they can't just be fucking adults and have a conversation and they can both bend both ways. We know people in politics definitely bend over and do a lot of trains for each other. Gavin Newsom did say he is going to run for presidency, and I'm curious about that. I have not liked him a lot as a Californian. Granted, I was born in Canada and I'm a naturalized citizen, but he's done a lot of shit that seemed corrupt. But I also don't know because I'm manipulated every day and the news is not real. What he has been doing, though, is he has been the one forced to go against Donald Trump, which I think is necessary. But then I worry about a force like that being in office, especially a California force like that who has had questionable things around him, like the unaccountability of billions of dollars. But also, I do really appreciate the force combating Trump, and he seems quite genuine. Most of the time, he did not seem genuine when he was on that podcast and they asked him about APAC funds. Ooh, and a federal judge warned Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem about out-of-court attacks. Okay, so I love that federal judges are actually starting to stand up to the I don't know, these sucker uppers that Trump has appointed. I think when legal fights move to the microphone, the courts become a stage, and who said what substitutes for actual evidence. But we actually might be seeing the courts stand up finally because it has been a fucking shit show of nearly 11 months. It is amazing, though, that a Trump appointed U.S. attorney was disqualified by a federal court. I mean, he handpicked these bitches and now they're going to fall. Like Lindsay Halligan, yeah, she can suck one. She sucks. She's just going against after his political enemies, and she's going to get in trouble, and a lot more trouble than Regina George when she wore pink on Wednesdays and ate protein bars and got accidentally fat but was still really tiny and still really cute. I'm still really thinking about getting a Juicy Couture velour sweatsuit because I think they're coming back. They're coming back. I signed up for their newsletter and I'm seeing pictures of Juicy on asses all day long, Regina George style. And I might need to. So, I did kind of like alter that impulse and I ordered some velour Adidas track pants. Oh my God, they're so fucking comfortable. I love them. They were my official attire for my deposition preparation. I love depositions, by the way. I love feeling like I'm on top of things and I get to show off my skill and my knowledge and my preparation. Anyone who fears them, they clearly don't really understand them, and they shouldn't be speaking on them. I think China passed a rule that influencers who don't have education or professional experience in areas can't talk about shit, which I'm so happy about because the people on TikTok talking about like the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively case, there's just so many inaccuracies and people believe them. And then that extends to so many things like RFK Jr. talking about circumcision and Tylenol. You should actually have science, education, and a profession in order to influence large masses. Let's use Candace Owens for an example. She should not have a platform. She is not a journalist. She didn't finish school. She is full of propaganda and bullshit. Something happened with Brazil today and the tariffs. I'm not entirely sure, but I did see that 5 Republicans kind of switched sides and went over to the Democratic side to stop these tariffs. So that's interesting. Maybe we'll start seeing a pattern of that happening and people having backbones. Now, I'm not saying that the Democrats have backbones entirely, but right now it does seem like they have more of a backbone than the Republicans because the bobbleheads that are up there in the administration with Trump really do seem like they are being blackmailed or they just hope to fuck they're going to get something out of this. I've never seen more of a caricature cast of people in our administration in my life. And I haven't been alive that long. I've read a lot. I watched my husband do like 25, 30 push-ups last night, and that was pretty funny. My daughter found it hilarious. And then I joked and said he could officially join ICE because he could do like 15 push-ups and 5 sit-ups. It's pretty low. It's surprising that people aren't able to join ICE. It's surprising that people want to join ICE because they're assholes, but also that they can't because they're so fat and unfit. So my husband's fit and could join ICE if he wanted to, but he would never fucking do it because he's not a horrible person. I'm not saying that everybody in ICE is horrible, but I am saying that if you're joining right now because you're joining because of the hype of being able to just take down people with a mask, without a badge, without really identifying people, like if you are excited because the Super Bowl is going to have Bad Bunny and you're excited to stand outside as ICE and just take down people, that's not cool. The original ICE, the original immigration officers who were there for a good reason, very honorable people. But now we're just seeing people who want to do it because they want to be big bad guys and they can't actually get into the police force or pass any kind of screening to be able to carry a weapon. Okay, so if you're a Democrat or you're more blue, then you were super focused on powers and tariffs today. That seems like what happened, or at least that's what you were being fed. Taxes, the market, things like that. But if you're red, if you're more Republican, I think you'd be a little more focused on the Japan optics and a little bit of tariff and some muscle strength. Again, how were you manipulated? Because depending on the state, your media is going to be different. And depending on your own agenda and your own schema, you're going to read into these things differently. Now, just take a second if you're on one side to think about the rationale of the other side. And yes, both sides have really stupid people, but also both sides have very, very intellectual people, people who have studied history and people who are absolutely incredible. So, don't just watch the idiots that both sides show on the news and maybe take a moment to listen to the rationale from both parties. Maybe listen to the extremists just to make yourself feel better that you're mentally healthy as well. Side note, if anyone has any feedback, I have a BMW, but I'm considering getting a Cadillac because the BMW keeps breaking down. I kind of want an American made kind of luxury SUV. I'm a snob. Yes, I'm willing to pay those payments because I'm a snot. Any recommendations, especially when you need to be commuting kids around, but I want the safest car like ever. So I would love to know. And I will never ever drive a Hummer and I will never drive whatever that Cybertruck thing is because it just looks like you're going to hop out of that in a MAGA hat with a small penis. So once again, I want you to think about how you were manipulated today by celebrities, by trials, by court cases, and by the media. I want you to think about both sides because we need to even out this world. This fighting is completely unnecessary, but it's also late. And what I want you to do is take a deep breath and just remember that the world will happen no matter what. You're not going to move mountains, but it is so important for you to do something in this world that changes the world for the better. And please think about what that is, even if it is paying for someone's groceries right now. That would mean so much to somebody who can't afford food. Consider going to the grocery store and buying food, bringing it to a shelter. Consider helping in some way. The world needs you right now.